Hello everyone, and welcome to this Let's Play of Kaiserreich, Legacy of the Weltkrieg. And today, I will be playing as the Republic of Peru, located in South America. And it is the 1st of January, 1936, and Peru is led by President Oscar Benavides Larrea, under an authoritarian democratic government. And at the start date, Peru has 3 national spirits. Our fallen Caudillo, war support plus 10.00%, radicalized APRA, recruitable population factor minus 20%, stability minus 10.00%, and Guardia Montonera, Chile defense bonus against country plus 15.00%. And the ruling party is Asamblea Constituyente. My cabinet includes, the head of government is Alberto Zenon Aguero, the foreign minister is Alberto Ulloa Sotomayor, the economy minister is Nicolas Lindley Lopez, and the minister of interior is Ernesto Montañe Marcos. I'll read the national spirits in a little bit, but first let me select a national focus, and that will be, I'm going to go with dealing with political chaos. The assassination of the president, the chaos in the government, the Leguia regime, the war with Colombia, so much has happened in the last few years, and many worry for the future of Peru. We must now focus on restoring stability, law, and order back to our country. Game-based stability plus 5.00%. I have low manpower, which sucks, but I'll deal with that later. For now, let me build some factories, but first, let me start this game. Let's do this. And I'll also build some military factories. But first I gotta read this. Peru in 1936. Although factually independent since 1821, Spain recognized the autonomy of her former colony not until 1871, when a peace between the countries was struck after a conflict of the two countries over the Chinchane Islands. An alliance with Bolivia drew the country in 1879 till 1883 in a border conflict between Chile and Bolivia in the Atacama Desert, Saltpeter War. During the war, Peru lost her provinces of Tarapacá, Arica, and Tacna. British and U.S. financial circles exploited the opportunity, stripping the weakened Peruvian state of their state railroad, nullifying Peru's debts in exchange. After the Weltkrieg, Peru's democracy was threatened by the coup of Augusto Leguia in 1919. While the APRA was forming in 1924 in Mexico, Leguia's government was put to the test by the Wall Street crash of 1925. After 11 months of failed reforms to combat the crisis, riots started, made up by workers with APRA's support. Fearing a socialist revolution, the military stepped in and overthrew Leguia, led by Lieutenant Colonel Luis Sanchez Cerro. Leguia was judged and executed for various crimes against the Peruvian state 4 months later. Cerro was initially not well received, but events in 1929 and 1930 propelled his popularity, putting down an ARPist revolt and winning a war against Colombia. Sadly, shortly after, he was shot by an ARPist assassin during a speech. As his party, the Union Revolucionaria, was in disarray, the more moderate Oscar Benavides stepped in to try and run a coalition government to stabilize Peru. As the Union recovers to try their luck again, with the Democratic parties constantly lobbying for elections, and with the ARPists waiting for their chance, what will happen to Peru? Whatever the future holds, we'll be ready. And now, to finish building those military factories. Let's do this.
Seguro que sí.
Now to set up some armies, and in regards to expansion, there's a few countries that I can expand into. Ecuador, which I will have a war with later, and their leader is their president is Jose Maria Velasco Ibarra, and I can also go to war with Bolivia and Chile. And Bolivia is led by Ferdinand Bush Becerra, and Chile is led by Marmaduke Grove. And if I take over Bolivia, or if they decide to join me, the Peru-Bolivian Confederation can be reformed.
No hay problema.
Anyways, the first war I'll probably have to fight is against Ecuador, so I should probably
Sí puedo.
set some soldiers along their border first. Now, none of this is impassable terrain, and the Pastaza region is the region that I claim as Peru. But
No hay problema.
we won't be at war with Ecuador for at least
No hay
another
problema.
year.
Sí puedo. No hay problema. Sí puedo. Sí puedo. No hay problema. No hay problema. Sí puedo. No hay problema. Seguro que sí. No hay problema. No hay problema.
Alright, let me look at my fleet as well. I have 2 admirals. Okay, there we go. So, let me look at my national spirits. Our fallen caudillo. Sanchez Cerro, the main orchestrator of our victory in Leticia and our savior from socialism, has been led to the afterlife by the APRA before he was able to retake our southern provinces. His memory and ideology is still seen in his party, Unión Revolucionaria. Berlin crisis hits the Andes. As the Berlin crisis snowballs out of control, our economy, being mainly one of exports, is on the verge of collapse. The future is grim and uncertain, and as Peruvian investors see all their money disappearing, some even choose the easy way out. Dios mío. Dios mío. Okay. Dios mío. Okay. That sounds like actually shocked. So, gains national spirit. Black Monday hits the Andes, which grants construction speed minus 35.00%, production efficiency cap minus 25.00%, factory output minus 40.00%, resources market minus 30.00%. So I should get a new national spirit, and there it is. Okay, the Jacobins were elected in France. That's interesting. Okay, interesting. Anyways, Guardia Montonera. Since Chile fell to the syndicalist revolution, a group of Aristotelian veterans of the Pacific War and their sons formed armed patrols on the border to prevent syndicalist incursions and to help refugees. Okay, so an interesting thing about Peru is that Chile still holds the region of Tacna, which in real life was given back to Peru in 1929. Several years after the War of the Pacific from 1879 to 1883. But here, Chile still keeps this region of Tacna. Peru still claims it. And just like in real life, Peru claims the region of Pastaza from Ecuador, which in real life they conquered from Ecuador during the Ecuadorian-Peruvian War of 1941. But in this world, Peru goes to war with Ecuador much earlier in 1937, and that'll be next year. The interesting thing is that APRA is basically like the Big Tent, like Socialist Party, and they include totalists, syndicalists, and radical socialists, which is interesting because in in real life, HOI4 was basically like a social democratic party, and they weren't like a communist party, but interesting. They seem to be more radical in this world. So let's continue. Okay, so what should I do now? There's our fragile democracy. I'll worry about that later. I could go with foreign know-how. Our military is... Okay, let me read this. Our military is indeed more well-trained than those of our neighbors. However, that doesn't mean there is no room for improvement, especially with so many war veterans offering their services to us in the... Especially with so many war veterans offering their services to us in the past few years. Effect, Navy, Army, and Air experience +5 each. Well, my main problem is that I don't have a lot of manpower. If I'm gonna go to war with Peru,
Seguro que sí.
I'm gonna need manpower.
Sí puedo. Sí puedo.
I'm sorry, if I'm gonna go to war with Ecuador, I'm gonna need all the manpower I can get, because it looks like they're not super powerful, but they still, it seems like they have more, like, armies than I do. And it looks like Ecuador is modernizing its army, too, so I gotta be aware of that. Now, hopefully, Bolivia will decide to join me in a union, so the Peru-Bolivian Confederation can be reformed. But in order to do that, Becerra needs to... or Bush Becerra, he needs to drop the ball majorly, so that basically things run out of control and Peru has to join, Peru has to allow Bolivia to join it in the Union. And, I'm definitely looking to expand. Maybe go to war with Chile later, while they're attacking Argentina. But we'll have to see how things turn out. And the interesting thing about Peru in this world is that its history is similar yet different to our own. The President Leguia, he actually served in real life from 1919 to 1930, after which he was overthrown, whereas in this world, he ruled from 1919 to 1925 and was executed. But in real life, he just died a few years after he was deposed, and was not executed. And Serra was also like a military dictator, and he was also assassinated, after which Larrea, or Benavides Larrea, took over. So that's also similar to like real life. So basically, the history of Peru in this world is similar yet different to our own. And Brazil will probably not attack us, which is a good thing. And besides, all of this here in the Amazon rainforest is impassable terrain. Okay. Let me just look at
No hay problema.
generals. Okay, everything's good here. And,
Sí puedo.
I have to say, I really like the portrait of President Benavides Larrea. He's looking pretty cool with his bicorn. I have to say, I do love the bicorn hat. It's pretty cool. Okay, an incursion in Ecuador. The Ecuadorian ambassador in Lima entered today the presidential palace looking quite annoyed and angry. The day before, a small squad of Peruvian soldiers illegally crossed the border between Peru and Ecuador and went around the jungle of Pastaza for a few hours. While this secret military exercise was intended by our staff, it didn't make the Ecuadorians too happy, and the ambassador started warning us about future incursions and a military response Ecuador might have. It said the high Peruvian staff had a few good laughs at the threats in private meetings afterwards. Let's say they weren't exactly terrified by the Ecuadorian might. Who do they take themselves for? Gain base force support plus 3.00%. So I still need more manpower. And more infantry equipment. But I also need more military factories. Okay. Okay. There's the breakup of the League of Eight Provinces in China. Probably the most interesting thing going on right now. Things will get more interesting in Latin America. Things just wait a little bit, and things will get more interesting. In 1937, that's when things get way more interesting in this part of the world. And I really do like and love how Latin America is more fleshed out in Kaiserreich as opposed to the main game, which is pretty cool. Go Black Monday reaction. Disaster and panic. Our economy is nothing short of a wreck after Black Monday. Our government must act quickly and decisively if we want to prevent a total collapse of our country. Okay, this will give me a new national focus. Black Monday hits the... Okay. It'll replace... My new national focus will be the worst is over, and it will replace Black Monday hits the Andes, which will give me construction speed plus 15.00%, production efficiency cap and factory output plus 5.00%, and resource market plus 15.00%. And I'll get plus 5.00% stability. Okay, so something was going on in China, but I wasn't paying attention. Okay. So now the Shandong click is at war on King. Interesting. Manuel Carlos has achieved full control over Argentina. And as awful as the Carlos regime in Argentina is, they have to ally with them in order to go to war against the syndicalist and socialist powers in South America. But more importantly, to go to war against Chile to get Tacna back, and also maybe to take Antofagasta as well, and of course to take back not only Tacna but also Tarapacá, both of which were territories that Peru used to own before the Pacific War, or the War of the Pacific. Okay, let me research something else. Okay. Modelo 1935. I'll do that. I'm going to go with Alberto Arpist bombings. The rampant Arpist militants have bombed another privately owned factory. Will these scoundrels ever stop? Damn it. Arequipo, the civilian factories, receives 0.50 levels of damage. I'm going to go with Alberto Zenon Aguero for my chief of staff, and he's School of Psychology. Or I could also go with Gustavo Jimenez. I'll go with him instead. Just to mix things up. Zenon Aguero is already the head of government. Apparently raining in Lima, Peru at the moment. Like Italy has become totalist as well. So Italy, okay, so it looks like Maurice Gamelin or Maurice Gamelin overthrew the Jacobins in France. Interesting. And Britain is also syndicalist, but Italy, it looks like it's totalist. Intervene decisively. The economy will not heal by itself. Okay, let me read this first. Well, let me just read this first. The economy will not heal by itself, that much is certain. We will work with a very clear interventionist policy from now on in order to ensure the well-being of Peru. Replace the worst is over with recovering economy, effective change, construction speed plus 5.00%, factory output plus 10.00%, resources to market plus 13.00%. The death of Louis Mauricio. Today, during a skirmish in Barrios Altos between Uristas and Arpists, a young Urista by the name of Luis Mauricio was killed by a bullet. He was the son of an old family of oligarchs. To avenge him, his fellow Uristas killed the Arpist militants. This case shocked the Liman society, and the Uristas in the Congress proposed a public funeral for Mauricio. Our staff suggests to avoid the public funeral to not anger the common man, but that might alienate Riva Agüero. And Riva Agüero is the national populist potential leader for Peru. And the National Populist Party in Peru is Unión Revolucionaria. Okay, so if I allow the public funeral, I'll get plus 5.00% stability. But if I let them hold an inner ceremony in their party, I'll get game-based stability minus 5.00%, change in popularity of national populism 2.00%. Let me just see what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna go with the latter and just see what happens. Something crazy might happen, I don't know. I'm probably going to keep Peru democratic, or make it democratic at some point, but I don't know. I might go down all the paths at some point. Okay, interesting. Okay. first deploy them along the Ecuadorian border, or in provinces along the border with Ecuador. But the problem is, I need to build more infantry equipment, and to do that, I need more military factories. Fiestas Patrias. Our national holidays celebrating our independence and armed forces have begun. General Jose de San Martin, known as Peru's liberator, proclaimed Peru's independence on the 28th of July, 1821, freeing Peru from the Spanish oppression. People all over the country are enjoying their holidays, and parades are being organized in all major cities. Viva el Perú. Plus 20 political power. Awesome. Okay, and it looks like Poland has elected a new king, a Polish king. Augustin I. Arpist farming. The rampant Arpist militias have bombed another privately owned factory. The rampant Arpist militias have bombed another privately owned factory. Will these scoundrels never stop? Damn it. Okay. In Cajamarca, the civilian factories received 0.50 levels of damage. That's not good. With import subsidization effort. We shall work towards making sure that the goods we need are made in Peru, while using our commodities such as copper to pay for the transition. Such action, while risky, will pay off in the long run. Cusco, one building slot, and civilian factory. Grand battle. Okay.
No hay problema.
I'm gonna send this guy up to Army 3. Okay. It's happened again. That sucks. Okay, Belgium has declared independence from Germany. Interesting. And now the Belgian parliament is the head of state. But who's the prime minister? Paul van Zeeland. Yes. Interesting. Switch to partial mobilization. And then... Okay, so now Isidro Arroyo is president of Ecuador. Okay, I'm gonna go for construction industry effort. Our construction industry still in its infancy. Our construction industry still in its infancy was decimated by Black Monday. We must redouble our efforts to keep it alive and well. 1x 100% research bonus for industry. until I find some way to, like, resolve it, but whatever. Now, I believe the elections come in 1937, which is next year. But I could be wrong about that. Make promises of elections, 56 days. Okay. In times of chaos, it's better to appease the population than to make yourself even more enemies. By promising elections, we can at least get the Republicans to be quiet while we deal with the real issues. Gain base stability plus 10.00%. I'll do this focus here, and I'll do military-industrial complex. The military-industrial complex of our nation is in its very infancy, and mostly produces licenses of outdated equipment. This situation has to change if we wish to defend our sovereignty. Lima, 1 building slot and military factory. Okay, it looks like Brazil went integralist. As long as they don't, go to war at me, that's fine. Yeah, it looks like Italian democracy has survived. Awesome. Okay, it's a new year, 1937. So now things should begin to get interesting. But first, I need to go to war with Ecuador. And it looks like I could probably use armies 1 and 2 to go to Quito, but it's the armies in the west, or the east, that I'm a little more worried about, since they're outnumbered. Now I'm going to go for armament industry incentives. With a little nudge of government incentives, our industrialists can make sure our armies are well equipped as any of our rivals. Loreto, add 1 building slot in the military factory. Okay.